Hi, I'm Irvin Sanchez, an Autocad certified. Autocad is one of the most used computer drafting programs in many industries such as architecture, engineering, and others to create 2D and 3D designs. This tutorial provides AutoCAD beginners like you with the concepts to start drawing in AutoCAD effectively. We'll review the user interface and lead you step by step through the most used AutoCAD tools, menus, and features. I will take you from the basics all the way up to be able to plot your drawings electronically as a PDF. And with all of that out of the way, let's learn AutoCAD. It's important to mention that you'll be learning AutoCAD in the regular 2022 version, but other versions have the same tools. Also, to improve your learning experience, there will be timestamps so you can go back to any specific section. Finally, you can slow down or speed up this video to match your learning pace. So if you installed AutoCAD for the first time, you'll have an icon like this. So simply double click on the AutoCAD icon to open AutoCAD 2022, and this window will pop out, but click cancel for now because we don't want to export any previous settings for older versions. So once we have AutoCAD open, the first thing that you'll see is a couple of sample drawings from AutoCAD. You'll have also the open and new options to access drawings, but what I want you to go is over here on the AutoCAD icon and click on it, and we're gonna click the new to start creating your brand new drawing. So here AutoCAD is giving you different templates to start a drawing, so you don't start from scratch. And what I want you to pick for this tutorial is the tutorial I arch, which is Imperial Architecture. This is a template that have the settings for architecture in Imperial. If you want for mechanical, is this one over here, and if you want in metric units, are these templates over here. Okay, so let's select that and open. So right out of the way, AutoCAD is placing you on paper space, so don't get confused. Since we are here, let's solve or talk about one of the important concepts to learn this software, which is the difference between paper space and model space. So model space here is where you're gonna draw mostly all of your drawings, and in paper space this is like an electronic sheet. So right now this sheet is a size, if I right click over here on this tab and click page setup manager, I can see that the size of the sheet is 24 by 36. So I'll click close, but this is a way to print whatever you have on model space here on this paper size. We'll go in more details later on, but at least you have a sense or a knowledge about the difference between a paper space or layout and model space. Okay, so before we start doing anything here, if you were my best friend, I will teach you first how to move yourself inside the program, how to navigate this new or brand new software for you. So you can simply move your mouse to move your cursor and go through the tools and commands and select any command using the left click on your mouse. But also you'll need other functions, like for instance zooming in or out, and for this use your mouse wheel so you can zoom in or out. You also need to learn how to pan. So for this, hold your middle mouse wheel and move your mouse like so. And finally, you can zoom extend your drawing in your entire drawing by double clicking on your middle mouse wheel like so to kind of zoom extend on your entire drawing. Right now we don't have anything, but you got the idea. Now that you know how to move in this new software for you, which is Autocad, in this case 2022, I want to introduce you to another concept very important, which is the ribbon. The ribbon is right here, and it is a way to organize your tools in a way that it makes sense for you, for the user, right? So for instance, if we go to the Home tab, we'll have a draw panel, which have all of the tools to start drawing: lines, circles, arcs, rectangles, and so on. And if we go to the modify panel, we'll have tools to modify any existing drawing. And again, the same with annotation panel, which have all of your annotation tools or commands like text, dimensions, and so on. So that's the ribbon in a very basic concept, but I hope you can kind of get a better sense or idea of how AutoCAD organize its commands. Now, whatever is on the ribbon, let's say the line command or tool, for instance, if you hover over, it will give you a brief description. So it says line creates straight line segments, which is, you know, something that will help you to get a better idea about each command. But any command that is here on the ribbon, you can also use the command using a keyboard shortcut. For instance, if I want to draw a line, I can simply type line and press enter, right, instead of clicking here from the ribbon. Or I can also use its shortcut L, so L and press enter, and you can start drawing lines. So at this point I don't want to start drawing anything yet because I don't want to confuse you. What I want to for you is to understand first how AutoCAD thinks, how things work here in the AutoCAD environment. So once you start using commands, you are in better shape. So let's say, for instance, that we want to use this command line, right? So I'll left click on it, and hey, I'm totally new here. What do I do, right? So let me introduce you to another concept that you need to know, which is the command line. The command line is this over here, this white box or rectangle, and it's gonna be your best friend. Why? Because it will guide you with instructions to use any command. So right now, for instance, I'm using the line command, and it says specify first point. Okay, so I can pick any point, so I'll pick here. And then, hey, what do I need to do now? Well, the command line, my best friend, is telling me specify next point. Okay, so I'm gonna click here. Okay, so what happened next? Specify next point. Oh, so I can keep specifying next points like so. Okay, And then what's next? It says you can click close to finish this, or you can type C also, or you can simply hit the escape key on your keyboard and you will be out of the line command. Again, this is an object full of single lines. Now, just to give you another example, let's use the circle command really quick. And you can click on it. Again, you can use its shortcut C and press enter. And I don't know anything about a circle, so Autocad, help me please. Specify center point for circle. Okay, I want to be my center point here. Click or left click, and then says the command line specify radius of circle. Well, I want this to be 2 feet radius, so I'll type 2 feet and press enter. Nice, so we just draw a circle of 2 feet radius. Now, we don't want to draw just random things, right? So let's delete these objects and let's start drawing something more professional. So now that we need to remove these objects, let me introduce you another concept that it's about selections. So before we just learned to select objects individually like that, but there is also 2 important selections that are called crossing selections, and there are 2. One is from right to left, you'll have the green crossing selection, and from left to right you'll have the blue crossing selection. And let me show you the difference. So if I do the green crossing selection, whatever my green rectangle touch would be selected. If I touch a little bit of this line like so, you'll see that it also gets selected like so. Now in the other way, the blue crossing selection, it's whatever is included. If I touch this line a little bit, nothing will happen. Do you see? It only gets selected whatever is included on that blue rectangle. Okay, so that's a very important concept to know, when especially when you are modifying your drawings. Right now I'm gonna delete this. So to delete this, I can simply use the keyboard or the key delete and press enter. So I have a drawing that I want to use to kind of give you a better idea of how to draw something more professional in the Autocad program, right? Because we don't want to draw just basic stuff like lines, circles, and so on. We want to draw something that is more appropriate to learn the software, right? So let me open this existing elevation that I have over here. I'm gonna double click to open it, and basically this is an existing elevation that needs to be finished here based on this image. So what I'm gonna do is so let's start drawing, and this will help us to introduce you another concept, which is the idea of using tools or commands. And one of the very first commands that I want to talk about is the line command, right, which is right here, line. So if you left click on it, again following the instructions, specify first point. So I'm gonna draw this over here, this building. And if I hover over this point, you'll see a small green rectangle and a text that says endpoint. That means that I'm using a precision setting, which is right here on the status bar. This is called the status bar, and it's called object snaps. So if you click on it, these are your precision settings. And remember, we saw endpoint is because it's checked. If I uncheck that and try again, you can see that I cannot snap to that specific corner. So I need my endpoint to snap precisely. So I can click now to start my line, but I didn't want to start from that point. So again, I'm gonna start the line command using the shortcut L and pressing enter. And then instead of clicking on it, I'm gonna zoom out using my mouse wheel, and I'm gonna move it like so. Again, hover over this, move it like so, click, and then right now my line can be moved in any angle, but I want to constrain that because for this specific drawing we're mostly gonna use orthogonal lines, right? So let's turn off this polar tracking precision setting, and let's turn on this ortho mode. So what it does is, if you click on it, it will start drawing lines orthogonally, and lines that are nice and straight. Now, want, based on this picture, to draw my storefront at the same height as this other one. So what I can do is hover over this till I see endpoint, and then I can move to the right like so. Once I see the little white X, that means the extension is working, so I can click anywhere in here. I'll click here, and finally I can move to the right, and again my object snap is now working here because I might need a different one. So let's check. Click here, and you can see there is a perpendicular object snap, so it's unchecked. Once I checked it, then I can snap to that perpendicular line. Great. Click. To finish my line, I can simply hit escape, and I just draw a couple of lines to represent the storefront. Now they have a thickness, so I'm gonna introduce you to another command and a way to kind of things the same as AutoCAD is, we want to modify these lines. We don't want to draw brand new lines. So where should that command be? In the modify panel, of course. So what I want to do is copy a line. So let's find it over here, copy. So click on it, and again, I don't know anything about copy. So the command line, our best friend, is telling us to select objects. I want to copy this line, and then I have to press enter. Once I do that, it says the command line specify base point. So I'm gonna pick here on this, click, and then it says specify second point. So depending if I move it to the left or to the right, it will create a copy of my line. So I'm gonna move it to the right, and I want to pick a specific distance. So I know this storefront frame is about 2 inches. So I'm gonna type 2 and press enter. Once I do that, a line was copied, and I can keep copying more objects, but at this point I want to press escape to finish that copy. Now let me use a different command for this other line. Instead of using the copy command, I'm gonna use the offset command. And the offset is a way to modify, to create a parallel line of an object. So again, since we are modifying, it should be here on this tab. So where is the offset command? You can hover over it and you will find it over here. Offset creates parallel objects. So I'll click on it, and hey, help me command line, I don't know anything about offset. It says specify offset distance, so we know it's 2 inches. So press enter, select this line over here because it's telling me to select the objects to offset. So I'll select that. Specify point on side to offset. So if I move up, it will set to that size. I want to move it down because remember this is aligned with that storefront. So I'll move it down and click anywhere here. Click, and it offset parallel line of my object. I can simply press escape now. And now we need another command to clean up these 2 little edges, and that command would be another modification, and this would be the trim command, which is right here. So you can click trim to, it says trim objects to meet the edges of other objects. So, or you can type its shortcut TR and press enter. I'll zoom in with moving my mouse wheel, and I'll trim this line. If you don't know, of course it says here select objects to trim or shift select to extend. So my objects to trim is this and this other one. I can now press escape, and my storefront is getting in there. Again, let me see the picture. Okay, it has 2 frames in this way. So let me copy these lines over here using the CO copy for copy. I'll press enter and then specify base point. Since I don't need to draw with precision here, I can just click anywhere on the model space, like here for instance, and then specify second point. I'll move it like here, like so, and finally press escape. So at this point I want to introduce you another command, which is extends. Extends is right here on the modify panel again. So if you click here on trim, you will find it hidden over here, extend. So once you click on it, you can read the instructions, select object to extend. So I'll click this object, it will extend all the way to the closest object, and this over here like so. And I can also extend 2 of the same objects at the same time, like so. Click, and finally hit escape. I also need to copy these other frames, the vertical ones. So again, the same process, select CO for copy, enter. I need to copy these objects with precision this time, so I'm gonna click this endpoint, click, and then click here like so. I can now press escape, and again using the extend command. Now this time I'm gonna use its shortcut E, X, and press enter. Again I'm gonna click once, twice, and if I keep clicking one, twice, it'll go to the next line, and if I do it one more time, it'll go to this line. Click, click, like so, and press. Now I could use the trim command. I'm still inside the extend command, but I could use the trim command to trim these little pieces or intersections. But a trick or shortcut is to hold the shift keyboard, the shift key on your keyboard, and then you will automatically change to the trim command. So now you can start trimming your objects like so. Again, holding the shift key, you can change between extend and trim. Once you're done, simply hit escape. Okay, so now I'm gonna draw this trim over here, and let's use, I could simply copy this trim over here, but I'm gonna use another command because I want to keep showing you useful commands that will help you to draw in the Autocad program. So I'm gonna draw something, so it gotta be here on this draw panel, and this would be the rectangle command. So I'll click on it, and I'm gonna draw on top of this. So I'm gonna following the instructions. It says specify first corner point. Okay, first corner point would be over here. Click, and then says specify other corner point. Okay, it's gonna be over here. Click. So now let's select that rectangle that we just drew, and another new command for you is the move command. So the move command gotta be on the modify, right? Because we're just modifying an object. It's right here, move. You can also use its shortcut, which is M, and press enter. So I need to move this object with precision, so I'm gonna get closer with my middle mouse wheel, and then I'll click here on this endpoint. Click, then I move, pan, holding my middle mouse wheel, and then I get closer, and then click on this perpendicular snap. Now I need to stretch this thing all the way here. I cannot use the extend command. I need a new command, which is stretch. Gotta be on the modify because we're modifying an existing object. So it's right here, stretch. So let's use it, and what it does is basically stretches objects. So if I click on it, following the instruction, it says select objects. So if I select this object, let's see what happened. So I'm gonna press enter, and it's saying specify base point. So I'm gonna pick this point over here, click, and it's saying specify second point. Oops, as you see, it's moving my object instead of stretching it. So let's cancel that because I don't want that. Cancel, hit cancel or escape on your keyboard, and let's try it one more time. Stretch from your ribbon, click. Now the problem was that we selected the entire object like this, but for the stretch command to work, it needs to be selected in a special way, which is the window crossing selection. So if I click once, and then I need to include the piece that I want to stretch, so I need to include it like this. So select objects, specify opposite corner. So I want to specify here, click, and then select objects. So that means I need to press enter again. Again, from the command line, specify base point. So I need to stretch this with precision, so I can snap to this line. So I'll click here, click, and then specify second point. As you can see, it's now stretching only this part. And then finally I'll click here, like so. Great. So with very few commands like copy, trim, move, extend, offset, we were able to create this elevation. Now let me introduce you another useful command, which is the hatch command. And hatch is basically this object right here. So if I hover over, it says hatch, and if I select on it, you'll have the hatch editor to change the settings. And basically this is a pattern that repeats over and over to create a one single object that is very useful to create things like this, like bricks, CMU, facades, and so on. So let's use the hatch command. And since this is a new object that we're creating, gotta be on the draw panel. It's right here, hatch. So click on it. Again, it says fields and enclosed area or selected objects with a hatch pattern or fill. So click on it, and this gotta be inside an area like this. I cannot hatch over here where there is no enclosure area. So again, I'll click here, and I don't know anything about hatch. Help me, Autocad. Hey, my best friend, the command line says pick internal point. Okay, I'm gonna pick here, click, and then to cancel or finish, I'll just hit escape. Alright, so now I could select the hatch pattern again, because this is different, right? I want it to look like this. So I could use the hatch. Again, the shortcut keyboard for the hatch is H. So I could type H and press enter. And I could pick here by clicking on this hatch pattern, exactly the same as this. But instead, I'm gonna cancel that because I wanted to show you or introduce you another helpful or useful command, which is the match properties. So for this command, its keyboard shortcut is MA, and it's called match properties. And what it does is, if I press enter, is it match the properties from an object to another one. So let's say I don't know anything about match properties. Let's see, the command line, it says select source object. My source object, I want to be this hatch, click. Now it says select destination object. It's this, click. Now I just press escape, and my building is done. Great. Now at this point we went over many useful concepts, such as the ribbon that has or organize your commands and tools, the command line that help you or give you instructions to finish or use any command, the status bar here with the precision settings or object snaps, so it can help you draw better and more efficient, And we slightly went over the difference between paper and model spaces, so you know where you are located inside the AutoCAD drawings. Now, at this point, you might say, hey, we started with this other drawing, right, from scratch. If I click on it, I can change between each drawing. Why are you using now another drawing? Well, you are right. So let's fix that. Let's fix that by introducing you another technique or trick, which is to transfer or copy one drawing from one piece of drawing from one DWG or file to another one. So for this, let's select all of these elevation and let's use the shortcut Ctrl+C on your keyboard. Once you do that, you can go to the drawing that we start from scratch, and always in model space to place your drawings, and use the shortcut Ctrl+V. Once you do that, if you don't know what to do next, again follow the command line instruction. It says specify insertion point, and this shortcut is basically using a command called paste clip. So I'm gonna zoom in, rolling my mouse wheel, and I'm gonna pick here like so. Now if I go back to the other, I can save and close this drawing. So I'm gonna show you another command to saving your drawings, right? You can go here on the quick access panel. This is called the quick access panel, and you can click the save command to save your drawing, or you can also use a shortcut Ctrl+S to use the same command, Q-save. Now to close your drawing, you can simply close here on this X, or close it here on this other X. Close. Now we are back to the drawing that we started from scratch from the Imperial Architecture template. So because we wanted to show you how we're doing this from scratch, right? Okay, so another useful command that you're gonna need is a text, right? So text is right here on the annotation panel. You can also type on the command line text and press enter. So now again, I don't know anything about text. Help me, command line. It says specify start point of text. So for this example, I want to call out for this ramp. I want to name that as existing ramp. So I'm gonna place my text over here, click, and then says specify height. At this point, I don't know the height of my text yet, so I'm just gonna simply type enter, or press enter, sorry, and then for the rotation I just type 0 and press enter. Once I do that, I can type my note. I said existing ramp, and to get out of the text mode, I'll simply click outside here on model space, anywhere, click, and then press escape. Now as you can see, the text is showing so tiny over here, and this is where you need to learn another important concept, which is about scale factors, so we can figure out the perfect size for your text and dimensions and letters that we'll talk about in a few minutes. So let me show you. What you're gonna need is a scale factor chart like this, and this is basically as drawing a scale. This is for architectural and this is for civil, and these are scale factors that are based on the architectural scale, but we first need to go here in AutoCAD and let's go to paper space, right, on the layout here, click, and what we need to do is understand how AutoCAD can fit such a big building, right? Because in reality this building is so big. You can see the height is 9 feet, 28 feet. How can AutoCAD fit this big building on such a big such a small piece of paper? This is, remember, we went right click and page setup and we saw that this is 24 by 36 inches paper. So the way they do it is using viewports. And viewport, when you use a template, AutoCAD already give you a viewport, which is this one over here. If you select on it, it's a viewport that right now is locked, but I can unlock it by clicking here. And the scale for this viewport is 1/4. If you click on this scale, you can change the scale. Let's say let's change it to 1/8. As you can see, it's 1/8, and this scale factor is the one that I show you on the chart, remember? So that's 1/4 that we're saying, and that's the factor 48. So but let me first remove this viewport so I can show you how you can create it if for some reason AutoCAD doesn't give it to you automatically. So I'm going to remove that viewport using the delete key on my keyboard. And to create a viewport, you'll need the shortcut MB and press enter. Then you can click a point over here. It says specify corner of viewport. So I'm gonna pick, let's say, over here once, and then my command line says specify opposite corner. So I'll click here like so. As you can see, my building is showing now from model space. So but I need to select my viewport and pick a correct scale. So I'm gonna try 1/4. That looks about right. Let me try maybe a little something bigger. No, that looks right to me. So finally, to move or place your model or building better in your viewport, you can double click inside your viewport with your left side of your mouse. So double click, and then you can pan the way that I showed you before, holding the middle mouse wheel. So holding it, you can move your building like so. I'll place it here, and then to get out, simply double click outside the viewport, and then again, just to double check, select your viewport. I know it's in 1/4 scale. So knowing that, we can change the text size accordingly. So let's go back to the chart that I showed you earlier. Now that we know that our paper space, it's using a viewport with 1/4, right? 1/4 scale. We gotta go here on the standard text, and if we go down, we can see that at 1/4 the text size is gonna be 6 inches. And again, this is for imperials, right? But if you were using the metric units, it's the same idea, but you'll have this metric units chart. But since we're using imperial, I'm gonna show you with imperial, but it's the same method and idea. So 6 inches we said that is the height of our standard text for 1/4. So let's go back to model space and let's select our text, tiny text, and let me introduce you the property palette. This is another concept that you need to know, and the property palette, you can access it by typing its shortcut PR and pressing enter. Once you do that, with your text still selected, you'll see that the property palette basically is the way to control settings of each specific object that you select. So if we select our text, we can go scroll down with our mouse wheel, and if we go here on the text, there is a height option. So let's click on it, and we said that is 6 inches, right, for a 1/4 scale. So I'll type 6 inches and press enter. As you can see, our text got bigger, and we can close the property palette. This is the correct scale now for this note. Now the next thing that I want to show you or introduce you is called a leader, and the command to draw a leader is simply a line that join an object to a note. So for instance, the shortcut is LE for Q leaders. So I'll press enter, and then again, I don't know anything about leader. Help me please, command line. Specify first leader point. I'll click here, zoom in, and since I cannot snap here on the middle of this ramp, let me see if I can use another OSNAP setting, and let's try midpoint. That would be the middle of an object. So if I click here, as you can see, now a triangle shows and it says midpoint. That means it's the middle of this line over here. So I can click here to start my leader, and then what else? It says specify next point. So I'm gonna, again, I want my leader to go nicely and straight, so I'm gonna use the ortho mode on to go nice and straight, and go down, click, and then again command line says specify next point. I click here, and then I can hit escape. Now this leader doesn't look quite right. Why? Because if we see the arrowhead, if we zoom in, the arrowhead is so tiny that you cannot even see it. So this is a problem of the scale factor. But now that we know our scale factor, that we know we're using 1/4 drawing scale equals a foot, we know the scale factor is gonna be 48. So we're gonna use this number now, 48. So remember that number, and let me introduce you your very first system variable, and it's gonna be the dim scale. Basically, as this is a new concept for you, and the system variable is basically a way to set the settings for any particular command. So in this case, dim scale, what it does is it changes the scale factor in this specific drawing. So if I press enter, based on the command line, again, I don't know anything about dim scale, it says enter new value for dim scale, which is the factor that I just said to you, 48, right? So 48 and press enter. Once I do that, it looks like nothing happened. But if we try again the leader command, LE, that's the shortcut, and press enter. And if I start my leader over here, click, and then again says specify next point, I'll click here, and then finally I'll click here and hit escape. You can see that now the arrow shows with the right arrowhead size, so I can get rid of this other one and use the delete key on my keyboard. So this is a professional and quick way to have all of your text, annotations, leaders, even dimensions to the correct scale based on the chart like this one, and based on the dim scale factor. The last thing that is missing here on this elevation, and I want to introduce you, is a dimension. A dimension is a way to add a distance or a length, a measurement of an object, and I want to measure this building facade. So if you go to the annotation panel, you'll see here different dimension types. Linear, which creates a linear dimension, a line, angular, and so on. But there is a better way to add dimensions, which is this one over here, the dimensions. And what it does is it creates any of these dimension types with the same dimension command. It's called dim. So let's click on it. And again, I don't know anything about dim command. It says select objects or specify first extension line. So I'm gonna click here on the side of this building, like that, click. Now it says specify second extension line origin. So if I move down, it's gonna measure like that. That's not what I want. So I'm gonna move to the right and then pan with my mouse wheel like so, and then finally click over here like so, click, and then it says specify dimension line location. So I want my dimension to be here like so, so I'll click and then press escape. So you can see your dimension is right there. And now what we need to fix is this text over here. So let's use the stretch command, S, and press enter. Now let's select objects. Remember that we cannot just select this object, we need to do a crossing selection, and what we want to stretch is this part, right, with the text. So I'm gonna stretch these objects like so, and then I want to deselect the dimension because I don't want to stretch the dimension. So a trick for that is hold the shift key on your keyboard and then select the dimension to deselect it. Now I can press enter to select my objects as the command line is suggesting. I'll press enter and then specify base point. I don't need to be like specific here, like precise, so I'll simply click anywhere here, and then second point I'll click here like so. Okay, now another thing that I just noticed is the text of my dimension and this text of my note is not consistent. This is smaller and we know this text is right. the size. So let me open my dimension styles, because this is like the dimension that AutoCAD create for us. So let's take a look at it and type D, and this will open a dimension style panel or window where you'll see what dimensions exist in this drawing. So if I type enter, sorry, if I press enter, you can see that we have this standard. That's what AutoCAD creates. And let's change that. Let's change the, let's modify it, or let's let's modify that one by clicking here, and then let's verify something here, the text size. So as you can see, the text size is 3/32 of an inch, 3/32 of an inch. And if we go to our chart, we can see that our standard text is 1/8. It's not 3/32. At 1 inch equals 1 inch. So we need to change it to 1/8. So let's go back and let's change 3/32 of an inch to 1/8 and click OK. So once we do that and click close, you can see that our text got bigger and it looks the same size. But we can verify this if we explode this. Let's let me introduce you another command, which is called explode, and it's right here on the modify, and it's right here, explode. You can use its shortcut X and press enter. And I'm doing this intentionally just to show you, but the dimensions now got exploded in pieces, and it's now a line, another line, and a text. And if we select this text and open our property palette like before using the PR shortcut, we can see that our text height is 6 inches. And if we select our node, also is 6 inches. This is because everything is based on our scale chart, and you'll always have consistent drawings using this method. So I didn't want to explode my dimensions because you never should do that. So let me show you how to go back. So there is a command called undo, or you can click this arrow over here. So if you click once, twice, you can see here it's saying undo explode. So now you can see that your dimension is now nice and complete. So you just learned another important concept about how to manage your text or annotation size for your dimensions, letters, and notes or text. Alright, so now what we need to go over is layers. Layers, it's a very important concept in AutoCAD, and basically layers, in the same way that ribbon organizes the commands or tools to make your life easier and put them on each specific panel, layers organized not your commands but organize your objects, your lines, your text, everything, so you can have more control to modify things quicker. And layers, for instance, here in this drawing, if we go to the layer panel and click over here, we have the following layers. These layers came from AutoCAD, from the template, the architectural imperial template that we selected. So here for this specific elevation, I'm using simply 3 layers. For instance, this, if I select this line, it says that is the A elevation medium, and medium is the line weight of this line, how it's gonna print. If I select this hatch and go back to home, it is on the A elevation fine. This means it's gonna print fine, very very light when I print or PDF this. Now, only because it says fine or wide or medium, would that be the reason for AutoCAD to know that it is actually light or dark? No, of course not. So where do we change those settings? Let me introduce you to the layer palette. The layer palette, you access it by typing LA and pressing enter. And basically, layer palette is this. You can left click on it and move it like so, or you can right click on it and click anchor left, so it shows like this. And basically, a layer palette is how it organizes your layers, the same way as the ribbon organizes your tools or commands. It has the same importance, layers, because it will make your life so much easier when you edit or modify any existing drawing, and you'll see why in a moment. So we were talking about the line weights, how we're gonna control if it's gonna print light, dark, or medium. So let me expand this over here, and let's for instance select the A elevation medium. If we go here, we can see that the line weight option, if I click here, is 0.35. Now, how did I pick this number for the line weight, right? Well, this is based on the CAD standards, because this is something that we need to follow, not only firms individually, but this is something that it's like a standards for not only layers but line weights and even layers, layers naming, line weights, and others. And how this works is it's control, or not control, but it's called the United States National CAD Standards, which is right here. And basically this is an organization that tries to organize some standards for drawings. This is where the layer name hierarchy comes from, and also the line weights and so on. So I'll leave a link on the video description if you want to take a look, but that's where it comes from. All right, so that's for the medium. And again, for this one, this is the layer A elevation fine, the same idea. Its line weight is 0.13, so that's gonna print very very light. All right, so let's create one more layer to show you how you can create your layer. So basically, if you select here on this icon, it says new layer, so I'll click on it, and I can name this A elevation and then this is gonna be the dark. So, and press enter. Now I can change the color. The color in this specific method of managing how your line weights is gonna print doesn't really matter. You can pick any color, but a recommendation is to pick any of these colors that are right here, 1, 2 for yellow, 3, and so on. So for the dark color or white, I'll pick blue and click OK. The only thing that you need to have into consideration when picking colors is that some users have the background dark like mine, but some other users prefer to have it white. So pick colors that can work in both situations. That would be like my suggestion. Alright, so once we created our A elevation white, and we need to change the line weight, right? Because this we want to print darker than these other two, the fine and the medium. So again, I'm gonna change here the A elevation white, and I'm gonna pick a 1 second right here. I'm gonna pick the line weight 2.35 and click OK. Again, that's based on the United States National CAD standards. It's not something that I'm picking randomly. Alright, so now the reason why we need something that prints dark is because remember, this building is in front of this other building. So I would like to, select this outline and make it darker, make it print darker. So I'm gonna to change a layer, select the object and simply click here and change to A elevation Y. So click, and then you can press escape. Now we are ready to go to paper space or the layout sheet to see how we're gonna PDF this drawing. Now, of course, on a more professional level environment, like you will need to add a text here called a tag specifying at what drawing scale your drawing is. We said that our drawing is at 1/4, so you have to add a text here saying scale 1/4 equals an inch, and so on. But that's something minor that you can go over and that you can do using the same text. So what I'm gonna do is show you the next concept, which is how to create a PDF, an electronic PDF of your drawing. So let's do a shortcut Control P to access the plot dialog box. So here what you have to do is, since we're gonna create a PDF, I'm gonna pick AutoCAD PDF, or you could also pick DWG to PDF. Size of the paper is fine, 24 by 36. Extend is fine. Center always. Scale 1:1 always, so you can print or PDF to the right scale. Scale line weights, have that checked always. Here on the plot style, they are using this plot style is based on the template that we picked, the architectural imperial, remember? So it looks like they have only these we're gonna need a monochrome CTV that is not here, because look what happened if I do a preview of this. It's gonna print like that in color. We don't want that. And this is basically because, again, we picked an Imperial architectural template that had these settings like that, so I'm gonna cancel that. And to fix this, I'm gonna use a command called convert PS styles, and it says this command converts a named plot style drawing to use color dependent plot styles. That's what we want. We want our layers to control the line weights, so I'll click OK, and then let's try to use the control P again. And for this, let's go here, and as you can see, it gives us more options now. What we need to pick is the monochrome CTV, because we want to show or make a PDF black and white, and the settings are fine. Monochrome, let's do a preview, and as you can see, your elevation is looking beautifully. Again, the line weights are, lighter. The hatch, the thicks of the glass are showing lighter too, and then this one is showing darker because it's this building is in front. The text consistency, again, same size based on dim scale, letters also. And if this is perfect for you, you can simply right click on it and choose plot, and you can save it. I'm just gonna save it here. You can rename it as you wish and click save. Once you do that, your elevation will look like so. Nice and neat. If you want weekly tutorials to keep learning AutoCAD on your own, subscribe now and watch this video over here to show you how you can get an AutoCAD certification like this.